Hello and welcome to So Farscape,
A fun-filled Farscape fancast by a fervent fan.
and a frankly fascinated first-timer.
I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay, and this is the story So Farscape. Woohoo!
This is another one I've been looking forward to, Kay. I know I say that every time, but this one has a very special place in my heart. Because Season 4, Episode 8, I Shrink Therefore I Am. Do you know how, like, Farscape... Okay, for a lot of bisexual people,
Yes.
Farscape was part of their awakening, sort of.
Yeah.
Right?
Fair.
You know, when you have a hot man and woman in equally hot black leather and you go, oh,
You're
wow.
allowed to have funny feelings about either or both.
Yeah. Like, do I want to be John or be with him? Both? Por favor. Who knows?
Yes, well, here we go. I mean, but no, that part of the show is over.
Well, okay, sorry. Anyway, look, we're in Season 4 of Farscape, and, like, by this time, I think it was, like, 2002, and, like, I was well into university, and I was understanding that who I was and what I liked, and, like, as a gay young man in Amsterdam, and is entering his early 20s. And then this episode came along, and then I realized, I think I'm a sex weirdo, because, yeah, I have a thing for the Karishi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The weird sort of giant robots with the glowing eyes. There's something about
And the pumpkin stuffing.
I can't fully explain it. Here we are 20 years later. I'm still sort of processing it because, guess I have a type. And that type is odd. Anyway.
Episode 408.
Yes. Let's see what our listeners had to say about it and whether there's any sex weirdos there as well.
Yeah. The crew are captured by Gort and his pumpkin head pals who are keen to crash in on the Peacekeeper bounty. Oh, cash in, sorry. John McClaine and 1812 go die hard with Hans Gruber to save the day in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Just be careful where you step. Thank you, Marky See.
Hey, honey, they've shrunk the crew. Clatu, Verada, Nictu... Stuck in a can, fight like Antman, pumpkin spice squashed by my shoe. Ooh, it's got sort of haiku vibes there.
It works.
Thank you, Rick from the Delta Quadrant. Also very good at recognizing, like, it says Clatu Verada Nictu. It's actually Clatu Verada Nicto.
Oh.
But Crichton says it wrong.
Ah.
And so this is how Crichton say it.
So, bounty hunters and tiny prisoners take the stage to captivate the audience in this episode. John is forced to take the enemy down Die Hard style to rescue the crew, while Scorpy attempts to prove he is on Team Crichton. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you. Yeah, do you remember how we used to sort of insist that you shouldn't, like, name any characters? You sort of be really oblique. I know that we've sort of let go of that.
And we're only reading these out at the beginning of the episode when we've already seen it, of course, and hopefully our listeners have watched it as well.
Yes. I mean, especially since I now have the habit of coming in, like, at the very start, where I said that we should do our human interest segment that I completely forgot about immediately because I just want to talk about how much I loved each and every episode so far. So thank you, Melissa. So this episode, I Shrink Therefore I Am, 408, came out Friday, 2nd of August 2002. Yeah, I'm reading from the database again. Directed by Rowan Woods, who has done... basically everything. Written by Christopher Wheeler. Now, let me see. What has Christopher Wheeler done? I think maybe just this one, honestly. Unless I think that's how I'm reading my database.
Okay.
This had a really interesting sort of development. Because it involves... It's basically Die Hard. Right?
Yes. Die Hard in space.
David Kemper came in and said, okay, we wanted to do a story where the bad guys aren't fucking idiots.
Yes.
Which I think is a nice antithesis to I Yench, You Yench, which I'm still very, very mad about.
I mean, but in what was the episode with the smugglers?
Lava's a many-sided thing.
Yeah, that's the one. They weren't stupid either.
That came to my mind as well. Like at the very least, the ringleader was fairly clever. But so originally, like, they wanted to get to this point where John's challenge was that he couldn't kill them without killing one of his crew.
Right.
And so originally the Karishi were going to be... Karishi, it sort of goes all over the place. Were going to be these giant refrigerator-sized robots that an actual person could completely fit within.
Into. Oh, kind of like a Dalek, but then with a access hatch or something. Yeah.
Right. And Dalek is a very good point. Dalek is where they got the inspiration. Like, okay, so they're robots and they don't have faces. How do we know which one talks? Oh, you make the eyes blink.
Yeah.
Just like a Dalek.
Ah, yes.
If you have 4 in a room, you want to know who's doing the talking. But so that went to the creature department, and Dave Elsey, he's always up for anything. He's like, I can do that.
I'm going to need a whole box of Greebles.
Well, they did wind up, and I'll tell you how they did that in a second. But then they're going to bump into the ceilings, so we'll have to make all the sets bigger to fit these giant creatures in. Well, that wasn't going to fly.
Oh dear, yeah.
And then it's not clear who, but somebody said shrink ray, and everybody said that's stupid, and they still did it anyway.
Right, especially since like the aliens don't really get shrunk rayed.
No, but when the prisoners get shrunk rayed.
Oh, right. Sorry, yeah, of course, yeah. Sorry,
Right, and they can fit inside the... And so that sort of solved all these kind of problems.
Go for it. It's
Right?
like, I love how they do a little lampshading with Sikozu, who sits there in the prison going, oh, but if we have molecules, then our brains wouldn't fit, and if we have shrunk down molecules, we couldn't be able to breathe air, and just like Rigel just hand waves it.
Who cares? We're here, they did it, and that's that. You consider yourself intelligent?
Yes, I do.
Then stop behaving like a child.
And stop yapping about it, and it's like... It's
really good speech.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's so cool, because of course all the fanboys are immediately going to go, oh no, what kind of mechanism are you using to make sure that they can still breathe and like work and function while they're like shrunk down? And it's like, yeah, it's like...
They clearly do.
It's hand-waved away a little bit, and...
I mean, I was put in mind of a Star Trek Deep Space Nine episode. One little ship, like the same thing happens. A runabout goes through a squeezy wormhole and they come out tiny. And when they have to sort of exit their little tiny spaceship, they continually have to beam tiny air bubbles out in front of them for them to breathe because they can't breathe regular sized air molecules. And in Farscape, we just don't.
That's like,
You just give Fezzik a wedgie and you shove it in a locker.
And then it's solved, yes.
Yeah, and you go on a date with...
I see a fact when I...
both the cheerleader and the quarterback, because we're all bisexuals in space.
Apparently we are so.
Okay.
Ooh. Sorry, dropped my phone there. So, opening sequence. I know we see this every episode, but somehow it really jumped out at me this time. It was Commander Cleaveridge who was like standing there holding her little speech about he's going to pay for this humiliation. And like, I never get that, because I'm going to make him pay for humiliating me when I attacked him. It's that kind of stupid reasoning, like, I tried to do something bad to you, you gave me back my own, and now I'm mad at you for doing something bad at me.
Yes.
Like, what kind of... Yeah, okay, never mind.
Well, actually, no, we can stay in this in this a little bit, because it's about power.
Right.
Right? Grazer feels that she's in a position where she can... It is legitimate for her to do this to Crichton, because she's a commandant and she's a peacekeeper, and this is what you get to do. She's grown up in this. She had her body altered, shortening her lifespan in order to accelerate her, her rise through these ranks.
It basically shows that they believe in might makes right, which in my opinion makes for a broken individual. Like, there's something wrong in your head if you think like that. That's this
is the nature of
fair enough.
Among other things, fascism, right? Where they're
true.
Very, very space fascist.
Very true.
So I understand your point.
It just annoys me that people like that exist.
Right, she's despicable.
Yeah,
she's absolutely despicable.
But back to the show. Well,
yes.
This was the show, but it's just something that has been bothering me, and I had to get off my head. Granny is up to her tricks again.
She's being real creepy in this transport pod with
absolutely,
John.
Yes. She's at first I thought it was Dargo who was moving up behind him to give him a little comforting bro pat on the back, but no, it's Granny.
Yeah, she's doing a weird sort of aura massage and really getting into his personal space,
and really giving the impression that she's messing with him again. Also does this weird little laughing around along with his jokes, which he can't get.
Let me talk to Captain James T. Dargo.
Captain James T. Dargo.
I think she's super high.
Well, that's possible.
This gives me vibes of something that I haven't personally experienced, because in the Netherlands, certain substances like weed are legally obtainable, and so you don't have to be sort of weird about it.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to go to one-armed Ahmed who lives behind the butcher shop and has a tattoo on his stump. You can, because he's totally cool and he's actually really fun to hang, but you don't have to do the whole dealer thing. But having friends in California, I'm familiar with the sort of dealer vibe where the things that...
Yeah, you have to show up to a parking lot, and then there's you walk up to the other guy's car, and then you...
Oh, I'm actually talking about how they come to your house to bring you the weed.
Oh, okay.
And then they hang out to play on your Xbox and sort of hang out like your friends and smoke the weed that
Like
they
you just sold you.
yeah, these weird sort of oddly parasocial and parasitic relationships that occur, and she's got that vibe. Because
No,
she's
I get
talking
that.
about, like, she mentions Aaron. She name drops Aaron, reminding him.
And that's what I meant, like with her being on her bullshit again. Yeah, she's basically going like, oh, it's like how that stuff that I gave you to forget about your not girlfriend, is it working well? It's like
Now that I've mentioned her.
Now that I've mentioned her,
Yeah.
and like, are you sure you don't need a little bit more? And like John does the classic, oh, I'm only using it to take the edge off.
Yeah, I don't need it. Yeah, that's... But, so she's this enabler.
Yeah, pushing her wares, I suppose. Although she's not charging. I still don't know what her motivation is. Like, at one moment, she might just be weird, or at one she might just be, like, up to something. But
Okay, so Farscape is not a show that's known for playing the long game, right?
Not at all, no.
You don't introduce a character and then, like, a season and a half later, you discover that they're all snakes on the inside and they actually weren't, like, a real person. Like Aaron will clearly one day be revealed to be.
yes, also a Scarran agent.
Clearly.
Yes.
So, that being the case, we have to take in on face value what we've seen of her so far,
No,
don't
we don't. Like,
So, what is your... Hey, are you coming back on your hypothesis then about her? Because you sort of abandoned the idea that she was really
no, I said I was.
mind-filling.
As I said, I was willing to entertain that she might actually be genuine. I was definitely not abandoning the theory that she might definitely not be.
Okay,
I just
so-
like it was just that showing what happened in that episode was like, okay, maybe she is actually genuine. But then again, I see stuff like this, and then maybe not so much again.
Hanging on to healthy paranoia.
Yeah, exactly. It's like not willing to make a trust commitment on that yet, as John shouldn't do.
Yes.
And it's also still the fact that people still tend to forget about her. It's like Aaron at one point mentions like, hey, what happened to the old woman?
Oh,
And then right at the end, I actually have, at one point I had written down like Granny to the rescue, but
Nope.
no. It's like literally right at the end when all the problems have been dealt with, like Rigel's gone like, hey, there's something floating in front of the view screen. Oh yeah, I forgot. Granny's still outside. Can you pull her in?
Yep. Yeah, she's just like Carrie Fisher in the much shorter edit of The Last Jedi, where she just floats outside and doesn't revive and come back in.
Fair, yeah.
So he gets on the comms because he and Granny, John and Granny, have been out shopping, and they've got a
Boat full of cargo.
yeah, groceries, and they want to come in. And why isn't Moya responding? And then Pilot does respond. And do you remember what he says?
What about Jan and Sakozu?
Enjoying each other's company, preparing a meal for everyone but Rigel. He's not hungry.
Yeah, that's a thing. It's such great, like, opposite day talk. Now, Dargo is helping Rigel with his, let me see if I remember, with his laundry. And Aaron's writing some poetry.
Yes.
While we see that he's surrounded, and he's got these big old metal cuffs on his claws.
Like everybody does.
Yes, everybody's got these cuffs. They've got one, like he's got 4 of them,
Yes.
and most of the bipeds get 2, and Rigel gets 1.
Rigel probably gets the one of the ones that are meant for Pilot.
He's sitting
and
in
they're
it
just
like a vase.
Yes, you never see anything of Rigel in this episode other than his head sticking out of that.
It's so great.
It was hilarious. I mean, he's been getting a lot of that. Like, he got encased in the amber in the Lava's mini splendor
yeah.
thing. So we're getting a lot of lockdown Rigel. And yes, we get our first glimpse of the aliens who really love to use the like extendo motion on their arm knife blade.
Oh yeah, they were really bucking for an action figure.
I guess David Kemper was really like, I put the effort into making these things. You bloody well got to use them.
Oh yeah, they put some serious effort into this because they had to figure out a way to make it safe. Because they have 4 actors in these suits that do not have a lot of visibility.
No.
Oh yeah, I should really call
I mean,
out.
I would think like use blunt knives. That would make it safe. But
But for like the close-ups.
you can't really see if a knife is sharp or not.
No, that's true. Still, a blunt knife and all the other actors being bound, it can happen. I want to call out, let me see, his name is Duncan Young. That's the performer that's core. That's the main dude.
Yeah.
The one that gave 20-something khaki some really interesting feelings about, wow, I wonder what it is that's, but whatever. But he was apparently amazing in these prosthetics, that he handled the heat and the lack of visibility, and he was still able to do like this complicated fight sequence.
Yeah. And then they must have had various versions of this armor, where they were just like wearing it, and then there was like the extra special version where you had to have the Scarran makeup under the other helmet.
Yep, not so lucky. Tight production schedule. So the heads were made large enough that they would fit over a Scarran makeup. Okay. Obviously, they wouldn't want to put it on and take it off too often. So that's why you get sort of this weird silhouette. Because, like, when they're shot from the navel up, they look absolutely amazing because the sort of chest is enlarged.
They look a bit insectoid with the little mandible ports around the mouth and the eyes. And
yeah. At the same time, I think they've also got, like, horse proportions to the head.
Yes.
You know, the back of the head is very long and regal, and
I normally
tingles here.
Get that. I normally get that from Scarrans, and this guy definitely was not. He was a little bit shorter in the head than most Scarrans are.
Interesting, wasn't it?
I noticed that. But then again, we know that Scarrans aren't beyond lots of prosthetic or cosmetic surgery to make themselves look more Sebastianoid.
What are you thinking of?
I don't know. I seem to remember that they have been doing... Wasn't there like something in... I can't remember which episode.
Well, there was a hybridization project, but the result of that was Scorpius. And
yeah,
but
also... Wasn't there something in... No, it wasn't Look at the Princess, because there was like an out-and-about Scarran there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure that we had a Scarran which had been like surgically modified to look more like a...
Whoa.
I was thinking of the wrong show here. I don't know. I seem to have this recollection that they were about this. I can't...
This horrible visage that you see before me is me trying to decide whether I'm confused or trying to keep a poker face, and I don't actually know. So let's just move on.
Yes.
Anyway, but yeah, like they're fine with stuffing themselves into cryo tubes and like hiding out on planets and like doing all sorts of like they're really, really committed to their craft.
So John Grox from Pilots Double talk that things are not well, and they do a quick little fly around Moya. And they see this little boarding craft on there. We only get a really short shot of it.
It's a shame because it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of one of those little, have you ever seen those viri under an electron microscope? Which is kind of this little three-legged pyramid type thing.
Oh my God, yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that. It's not quite pointy enough at the top, but that's what it reminded me of.
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah. Yeah. But so, despite the fact that he's alone with an old drug dealer in an unarmed
transport
Subaru,
pod,
he takes aim for for this sort of breaching pod.
Yeah, so this is like a really daring move. You see him faffing about with the armor. Granny goes and like, oh, I'll be all right. I'll take this, whatever it is, and I'll be in a vacuum coma for at least 3 hours.
Yeah, it's very relaxing.
Yeah.
I'd like to imagine that she was already like deep into the vacuum coma drug before the whole thing came up.
Oh no, I was
like,
just taking recreational.
Since I'm on it anyway.
I'll just double the dose and I'll be fine. Yeah. But yes, suicide run. They sacrifice a transport pod.
Very good.
And go smashing into it and completely destroying the boarding craft. And this is a bold tactic because now, you're not trapped with them, they're trapped there with you.
Yes.
So... But I guess Brass...
I think he learned that maybe a little bit from the Grudex in the first episode of Season 4, when the last time that Moya was boarded. Sort of even the playing field and make everybody equally as desperate.
Yeah.
I like that the leader, Axicor is his name, which is a very, very cool name. And in fact, one of our beloved listeners took the name Axicor for their persona, I should say, which I'm very, very envious of because it's a very good name and so absolutely should be stolen. He actually calls for the craft to be evacuated and emptied because, like, throughout this episode, the bad guys, and in particular Axicor, are really they're on the ball. They're anticipating resistance.
Yes.
And, like, investigating what form that can take. And so, like, he knows that the breaching pod is a point of vulnerability and... he very wisely has it evacuated, so he has more people on board. I love the intelligence. I love intelligent villains, which is why I still hate I Yench, you Yench, and I will. I know people have tried to convince me that it's so much fun and it's got Ben Mendelsohn in it. He is ruined. He's very sensitive.
Well, they're going for a different thing. It's like it's meant to be a scam. They're meant to be incompetent idiots in that show. They're pulling an insurance scam. You don't hire smart people to pull an insurance scam for you. You hire idiots who come into your place and set it on fire.
Okay. So you're telling me that Jens Jens is the Fargo of Farscape.
Well, Farscape. No, I know, but I'm just like trying to like. I guess I'm on the other side of the fence here in this regard, and like explain why you don't want intelligent people doing that kind of bullshit because you might get blackmailed later.
Which they do anyway.
Well, okay. Anyway, so on command, Dargo,
busy up there.
Dargo and Aaron are both tied up in these weird cuffs, which are also used to inflict pain.
Yeah, didn't really like link with that. It's just this weird sound effect and they sort of wince.
Yeah, it's, the pain cuffs are. I mean, he actually literally threatens later that he can do a lot messier job with his knife than with the pain cuffs, but it would be entertaining.
Ugh.
Now, what I like about this shot is that you clearly get to see who's the boss, because like they have this light up ranking insignia. So he's got these like 3 red LED strips and the
under his pauldrons.
Well, only on the left side, but and the other guys only have one blue one.
Yeah, because they have a cape on the other side, and it's so hot.
I didn't even see that.
It's so hot. So the way that they did this was this was before 3D printers. So they sculpted these huge greeble sheets. Mm-hmm. That was the entire sort of flat torso thing. So it goes up to there's sort of nubbly bits in the cowl, but all the sort of chest greebles, that was one sculpt, and then they call it foamed onto spandex. Mm-hmm. So probably foam latex, painted metallic, onto spandex that people could then wear.
Yeah.
So even though it looks like metal armor, because they have the sort of chest bit that comes out, and then underneath there's lots of greebles. That's fairly
just
skin tight.
One big casting.
Yeah, and it's brilliant.
And you get this like almost like chainmail-esque material on the neck, which makes for a nice flexibility. But yeah,
I'm going to come in here for our beloved listener Crimson and say that all mail is chainmail, so it's just mail. Unless it's specifically scale mail, and then it's scale mail. Yeah.
Right. So there's like 2 kinds,
We play both kinds.
Yeah.
Country and Western.
Okay, so we have a scene where John is crawling through the ducts.
Yes, he's John McClaining through Moya.
Yes. But again, we see like how these aliens are very skillful. He literally sucks in a little gasp, and then, I mean, Dargo hears it, but also one of the aliens hears it, and Dargo tries to fake it by like...
smells him.
Oh, Dargo smells him. Okay.
Yeah, you hear him sniffing first.
No, I think... John sniffs, and Dargo hears it, and then Dargo tries to cover for that sniffing sound by sniffing himself. At least that's how I read the scene.
Oh, okay. No, yes, that's right. That does make sense, because John is sniffing the lacquer.
Yeah.
Because he's up there. Yeah, this is actually quite clever. It comes up a few times. It's very subtle. John prioritizes Aaron and then realizes that he shouldn't.
Because Aaron's the one being tortured at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, in this case, he's clearly feeling, okay, my first priority is to free Aaron. Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. So he takes a hit of the lacquer, and then, yes, Dargo suggests, while one of the hench people is sort of listening and possibly hearing something, hearing his heartbeat, we should negotiate. And they all start speaking their own languages.
Yes, I noticed. I have that, like, all the translator microbes suddenly go haywire or something. It becomes a little blast of sound, and aliens tell them to shut up, be quiet. I guess it's like a tracker guy again.
Yeah.
Who has a little thingy beepy on the side of the head. But John fortunately manages to make use of the disturbance, I suppose, to get out of the tubes. And,
the distraction that his friends gave him.
Yeah.
And I love that the villain then goes, he's gone. Not like, must have been nothing. Like a complete idiot.
No, he left, yeah.
At least we know he's in the vents now.
Rigel is being interrogated with a very clever mechanism. Apparently he's a bit of a mind reader, this alien, because he asks him, like, where's he going to go? And Rigel gives the correct answer, but then thinks...
He lies.
Yeah, he lies. That's what I mean with the correct answer. But then he lies, and the alien can read his mind.
Yeah.
Clearly.
That's a convenient trick.
Yeah, very useful.
Okay. Do we think that that's a Koreshi thing or a brain Scarran thing? Which, by the way, that's what Dave Elsey called this makeup, which he really enjoyed getting to do another version of the Scarran. He calls these brain Scarrans.
Is it the captain who does it?
Yes, it's Axicor with the red
Then it's a
ball.
brain Scarran thing.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, why else would he have that ability? Or you think it might be something in the armor?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the shrink ray. They have who knows what else they have.
Interesting. Well, we only see Axicor do it.
Yeah.
Because he tries it on Scorpius later.
Who says in Scarran?
Yeah, it doesn't work on me. So that makes that implies that it's a Scarran thing. Actually, makes more sense that it would be a Scarran thing then.
Oh,
If it doesn't work on Scorpius.
Oh my God, that's perfect.
Yeah.
It doesn't work on Scorpius, and he immediately responds in Scarran because he knows that that's a Scarran thing. You're completely right. Okay, you're brilliant.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. So let's see what else you come up with. This is fantastic. Although, I'm just watching these gifs of Rigel sitting in his flower pot, and I just love them so much.
He looks ridiculous. But
As you put one handcuff on this dude.
I guess maybe it made it easier on the puppetry department. Or harder, I guess. Maybe it's just a head which they kind of have sticking out of this thing.
Yes, yeah. Okay, but so the interrogation has worked well enough that John's plans are foiled because Axicor calls over the intercom. Oh, yeah, he's going to go to his room first and then Pilot's room.
Yeah, he's going to grab guns and a shielding device, which they clearly haven't found yet, like the weapon shield that they have. And then he's going to go to the pilot's den. So secure the pilot's den, which is where we find Chana and Sikozu.
Yes, enjoying each other's company and cooking a meal for everyone.
They're having this little sit around and a little bit of bickering, not that much. And we get another brilliant scene of talking in front of the guards again. It's like where they go like, "Hey, guard," and then they whisper together. It's like, we're going to trick him. Hey, guard, who was just...
Hey, I'm just going to have to point out your podcasting technique. I love how you, yell into the microphone, then turn very far away. And
to do the whisper, yes.
And okay, so here's how it's supposed to go.
Sound effect.
Hey, guard! And then you whisper very close. And you did the opposite.
Well, I'm trying to exaggerate the effect.
No, but I kind of love it. You're doing the Chiana and Sikozu method of
that's literally that.
Oh.
Doesn't work very well.
Yeah. Because we don't know whether... do you think they fuck?
I have no idea. I mean, all I know
Outside
about...
of my fan fiction, I mean.
I know about these people at this moment is that they kind of cyborg guys themselves, and that there's not really much left of them other than fluffy, pumpkin-y insides. And the armor, it's kind of unclear how they biologically operate at this point.
Yeah, right.
They're really tough to kill, as we learn later on.
So they graft themselves into bioengineered armor, whatever that means.
Yeah.
At least by the time they're dead. And they they die pretty hard. Right. It's all sort of goopy in there.
And isn't that how they are usually?
I mean, it might be.
We don't know.
But maybe they have a very fast decomposition process, or maybe
I mean, they clearly have vitals, because when one gets spiked later on, that's what takes him out. Like getting hit multiple times by whatever hand cannon they have on hand doesn't kill them, but getting Ewoked by a spike from the ceiling, that does it.
Yes, that's a very good point. And he does mention that John was leaking vital fluids, and you'll be leaking vital fluids. I swear I was leaking some fluids the first time that I saw this. I don't know why I'm such a sex weirdo, okay?
Yeah.
But okay, so the first plan is out the window. His usual plan of getting my weapons and then freeing Pilot and then
just
work
killing
away
them
from
one
there.
at a time, and that doesn't work.
So what does he do? Did you have an idea what he was going to do?
No, not really. He checks the DRDs first. They're dead.
Yep.
So he goes off to find the big guns, which are apparently kept in Scorpius' cell.
Okay, yeah, I'm not entirely sure how he came from there, but no, hold on. I think he first went to Scorpius' cell, which is
I've no idea.
really weird.
I really don't know.
Well, he went to Scorpius' cell and found it empty, but he did find 1812 there.
Oh, that was it.
1812. Playing possum, huh?
All the other DRDs are down, but 1812 is because he's from a different Leviathan, operates on a different frequency, and was still active.
But he was playing possum. He's such a clever little dude.
Yes. John tells him to go activate more of the DRDs.
While he Okay, where does he go? Anyway, he and Scorpius do wind up meeting up, and first he's very distrustful of Scorpius.
I'm just a little twitchy because you sold us out.
Nothing of the kind.
What's just go inky-dink? You're running on the loose?
The only reason I escaped capture is because the bounty hunters do not know I'm here. By the time they got to my cell, I was not in it.
So I escaped somehow. And it's this beautiful thing. Okay, so how did you escape? Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, the cell can't hold me.
Oh, so you could have left any time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have always left. I stayed in there to make you guys feel better. Woof.
I mean, that is a very Scorpius thing to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
John could learn so much from Scorpius, which is if you have a secret advantage, don't tell anyone about it.
Yeah.
And just keep the secret advantages to yourself.
There's a little bit of talk and negotiation between John and Scorpius, where John decides whether or not he wants to trust Scorpius, which he apparently eventually does by handing him one of the pulse guns.
Ben Browder and Wayne Pygram both protested.
Yes.
Like they both went this, because in the original script, it was just a gun that he
Yeah.
was being handed. And no disrespect to Christopher Wheeler, but they just went, absolutely not. And they sort of, I imagine them going over to director Rowan Woods, like secondary school kids who want to go do something that they know they're not supposed to, and they go up to like a teacher or one of their
Right.
parents with a clear sort of justification why it's actually a very good idea to let us off the hook, and we'll be very good together. And they just went up to Rowan Woods and asked him, well, what if it's unloaded, and then we can,
Have fun with that. Which I think, I have that written down, because Scorpius, he's trained, he's a peacekeeper.
Yes.
He wouldn't check if the gun wasn't loaded or not. I mean, that's the first thing you do when someone hands you a gun. You check the loaded status if you have any training around firearms.
Right. Well, okay, so this is another one. Did you catch that John did that as he was preparing in the transport pod?
Did what?
He did exactly that. He took Winona's Chacan oil chamber out.
Right, and he licked it. Yeah, I
you
saw
saw that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
I mean, maybe he knows not to lick weapons that you've been handed. Because that might be the...
I mean, it can't be that you just... I do remember that it tastes empty or something. It seems to be, the way you...
It's spicy when it's full, and it's sort of the flavor fades.
You're right. I remember that. I forgot about that part. But, yeah, I mean, that's what you would have done. It's like...
Yes, I suppose. I mean, unless this weapon... Oh, by the way, I remember which weapon it reminds me of. The Steyr Aug.
Yes.
Yes?
Completely composite, and it's got like this built-in non-magnifying scope at the top. It's very popular in Stargate, if I'm not mistaken. Although you use P90s for that.
You're thinking about P90s for Stargate Atlantis, yeah.
Right.
Belgian.
But again, it's like very much a science fiction weapon because it's all sleek lines and, it's a weird gun.
Yeah.
And this one's just got a flashlight on top.
I'm sorry?
No, this gun, it's like it has this white thing which looks like a flashlight.
That's not what you said, bud.
Can you prove it? Can you?
Whoa. In a podcast that we both have editing rights to, can I prove it? In fact, you're editing this one, so I'm really curious what you're going to make of this. Anyway, so they have a plan, which Scorpius is not terribly impressed with, but at least it sort of passes muster. Okay, so you're going to one at a time them, ambush them. Oh, okay, well, you'll need some help then.
Yes.
And he has a plan, which is to call the head honcho, pretending to negotiate, and then hang up while leaving some clues in the background where he is, which is another opportunity to use the fan room that they created.
Which they wanted to reuse, so there's a little bit of back and forth, like, you surrender, no, you surrender. Well, that's pretty much what it boils down to.
It kind of does.
And then, they hang up, and indeed, a guard gets sent there. John stands there with the big blunderbuss, as he calls it.
He found Mr. Sparky.
Yes, shoots it, hits him. Guy falls over, gets back up, shoots him again. Guy falls over, gets back up, shoots him 3 times, still gets back up, shoots the remaining 3 rounds. Guy finally goes down, but not after Scorpius got to find out that his gun was unloaded and got shot in the face in the chest, at least
He stands there
for his efforts,
facing the Karishi. Goes ha, and pew pew pew, and he even sort of Like, he doesn't duck for cover.
No.
He just drops the gun.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for that.
Yes.
He's so unimpressed with everything you see.
So that's the first one down.
Yeah. And this is when Gort decides, all right.
Yep, plan B. Containment plan, as they call it.
Yeah, we're now going to put hostages inside our bodies.
Yes, they use their little shrink ray to small everybody down, put them in a little soda can, and actually integrate them with the armor.
While Chiana sort of observes the keypad commands. Yeah, very good, using that ability that she's got. What did you think about the shrinking effects?
Oh, it was fairly well done.
Right?
Yeah. Dargo manages to grab a comm badge just before he gets shrunk down, but I'm trying to find the right Jeeve, which is where...
So they get shrunk a bit later.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of brilliant because Erin sees the comm badge, which she can't reach, and Dargo sees it as well, and they sort of see each other. Erin makes a break for it, or she tries to, kick Axicor, which is clearly not going to work. But that distraction allows Dargo to gecko tongue
The comm badge and grab it, yes.
before he is shrunk. He's shrunk first, and then Axicor uses his own comm badge, which he still has,
Yes.
to tell Erin, to tell John what she just saw.
Yes. Basically explaining that they got shrunk down and that now the people of the crew are being hostage. And Axicor tells them, like, yeah, you're not going to be able to kill us without killing one or more of your friends.
This is such a tense show. I mean, I had trouble getting into the tension, really, of it. Like, obviously, I don't believe that the crew are really in danger.
No.
But John believes it. And I'm so, throughout this, I'm so excited to see what he's going to come up with and how clever he's going to get. And turns out, not very clever. He actually sort of gets more cowboyish and cavalier and stupid with everybody's lives.
He tries to not do that, but yes, definitely so. So the interesting thing that I noticed about this episode, it doesn't have a B-plot.
Yes!
There's no B-plot in this episode. It's just about the action and what's going on.
You're absolutely right. Like, the closest is the scene with Sikozu and Rigel, where she notices that this is stupid, and he teaches her a lesson, that you're an infant, I don't expect the universe to conform to my preconceptions.
Yes.
I'm wise enough to know how ignorant I am.
I also noticed a continuity error.
Oh, okay.
When Erin gets shrink-rayed, and you see her lying on the floor, she's not wearing the cuffs.
Oh, interesting.
Here's the Jeeve.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, she's just sort of lying there.
Yep. And then, as I have written down, it's like, oh, why didn't Erin's cuff shrink? Or why does everything shrink except not the cuffs? And then later, in the next shot, she's like Magno stuck to the walls of the beer can.
Yeah, because they get put in these
Which
pods.
is really a clever way to do it, because if you're going to carry people shrunken around, you really don't want them bouncing around in those pods, which I thought was...
True, absolutely.
That was a good idea. I mean, you're still going to flop around a bit.
Good safety feature.
But yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, randomly being essentially arms spread eagled and hanging off there is...
Oh, yeah, that's quite uncomfortable.
It's not great for one's body. So, yes, this does look like a little production snafu.
Mm.
Which is in part because, Claudia Black was a little bit ill during the production, and it was a bit tricky, and some things had to be worked around.
Okay, well, that happens.
Unfortunately, the very best scene, which is her riding a DRD to the rescue.
Yes.
Which you were so excited when this happened. Yeah. You're like, Kaki, look, you'd written it down.
I called it, yes. I was like, the moment that happened, then it's like, oh, we're going to go at it, and she's running off small, and I'm like, okay, she's going to be riding into battle on a DRD. And lo and behold.
Yeah, they had to cut that a little bit shorter than it was originally intended to be, because, yeah, she was unfortunately ill.
I guess they must have built like a DRD...
Sort of gimbal or something?
I don't know, just a shell or something. It's clearly green screened, that scene is.
Did they build a soup scale DRD?
That's what I think. I think they just built a shell and just painted it to look like a DRD.
That's amazing. I mean, I don't want to skip ahead in my Jeeves because
it was a pain to get back.
Okay, so they have a new plan for how they're going to take out the next guy, and John's plan is
The pulse chamber overload trick.
Which works not very well, because the guy shows up in the corridor, sees that thing lying there.
Pulse chamber overload. Not very creative.
And he shrink rays it, and it just like...
It's so good.
However, that was only the distraction.
Yes, because 1812 is ready to, as you say, Ewok him in the chest.
Punji spikes come out.
Wow. It's a death trap, is Moya.
It is. I mean, if you know how to work it.
I also like that Axicor sort of directed his crew. You know, one of the crew said, "Oh, I hear something over there. Should I go and check it out?" No, you stay there. I'll assign somebody else who is currently on patrol duty.
Yeah.
So you
do your thing, and we will get the thing in. He gets spiked.
You do your thing, and we will get the thing
Yeah,
in.
whatever.
Okay, you're really channeling Axicor's brilliance there.
Yeah, this is where I actually have written down. Like, it feels like very much like a very early season episode. You know, as in earlier seasons. It feels like the current threat. They're being chased by someone or something.
They didn't have B plots in the very early
They didn't
episodes.
have B plots. That probably also contributed to the fact what's going on.
Well, okay, let's think about it. Because when I think very early episodes, I think like Exodus from Genesis, where the Drak came on board and like impersonated people.
Right.
But there you had kind of as a B plot Aaron's heat delirium.
Fair.
No, I mean I'm not making a counter.
I mean, we have Scorpius's heat thing here, although it's barely even mentioned. There's one scene where he's like steaming from the ears a little bit.
You're smoking. You know that's not good for you.
Yeah.
And he's just tolerating it because apparently Sikozu has tried to fabricate some cooling paste.
Yes, which is doesn't work so well under duress.
There's also Thrown for a Loss, which is the first time that we see the Tavlex.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that one sort of counts as... Oh, no. It does have a B plot, which is Rigel and Jotheb of the Consortium of Trow, sort of having their little rivalry. So, yeah, I guess the B plot here has to be John and Scorpy.
Yes.
Getting to know one another.
Yeah, maybe not trust, but at least cooperate.
Yeah, Scorpius is unimpressed. Like he's...
Yes.
How did you survive?
How have you been evading me for so long? A little side effect of this scuffle is that another dude shows up and briefly shoots John. Apparently he's bleeding, but human beings can continue for hours after you shoot them. Well, they're very sturdy creatures.
What are you quoting now?
Oh, it's just like some humans are space orcs thing that's doing its way around the internet.
I mean,
Scorpius gets captured.
Yes. He covers John's retreat before either of them are able to take, one of these gauntlets or whatever from the Ewok Koreshi. So he covers his retreat by surrendering, and they go, "Okay, who is this?" "Well, I don't know. Maybe he'd be valuable." "Okay, should we call the command carrier in the meantime?" No, not until we've got John says.
So that was a very interesting thing here.
Yeah.
Because first, at this point, they're still talking about calling the command carrier and. Oh, no, I guess it was just Axicor being duplicitous. And I go like, oh, maybe we should call in support here. And
That's
okay. No.
So, because as the Koreshi bounty hunters are hired by peacekeepers in this case, but Axicor is actually Scarran.
Yes, which we learn when Scorpius is talking to him. We get a little Darth Vader moment when Axicor takes his helmet off, and it kind of even looks a bit like, the scene where you see Darth Vader's helmet getting put on in, or taken off for that matter, in either Empire or Return of the Jedi.
It's such a good makeup too.
Yeah.
Like, it's so recognizably Scarran.
Actually, it took me a while. It took me to the second time that the helmet got taken off that I only saw the Scarranish part. I thought his face looked fairly human for a Scarran.
Right, yeah, he doesn't have the huge, horse-headed animatronic.
And the back of his skull looked a little bit shortened, which is led into that talk that I said earlier about the Scarrans taking surgery to make them fit different roles. I swear there was a Scarran agent in the past that we've seen that did some. It wasn't a torture guy, but there was another one. It seems to be on my head. And now you are definitely doing a poker face.
I don't know which face I'm doing, bud. I'm really doing my best. Even at this point, even if I remembered what it was that you were thinking of, I probably couldn't tell you, because then you could sort of reverse engineer.
Yes.
Which bits were confusing and which bits were poker face.
So, John has actually managed to get one of the canisters, the one with Aaron and Chana in it.
Yes, Scorpy ripped that out for him, but he doesn't have anything to do with it yet.
No.
So he
He's a little bit a dick about it. Like he rolls it around and catches it, and
Yeah, really playing with your friends' life.
I know, right? He's just assuming that it's good enough. Gort tries to torture Scorpius, and Scorpius is just like, yeah, whatever. It's like,
I was very reminded
is that all you can do?
of that gif with Skeletor where he goes, "Ha, joke's on you, bitch. I'm into that shit." And now we learn that this is actually a plot because Axicor gloats to Scorpius.
Yes, we're like, we're going to get him, and we're going to get the wormhole technology from his brain. Actually, Scorpius figures that out on his own before he says it.
Yeah. How many Peacekeepers dealt with you without realizing that they were dealing with a Scarran spy? Oh, far too many.
Yes, it's not, but again, no monologuing. It's like Scorpius works it out.
Yes,
good and point. It's not Axicor that tells him, like, this was my plan all along. No, Scorpius works it out, and then Axicor doesn't deny it, but...
So John is captured in the sort of hangar bay where he's preparing his next great plan.
Yes, which doesn't go as well as the first one.
No. The idea is to create a sort of circular firing squad of DRDs to...
Yes, laser clothesline him, I believe he calls it.
Yep, with their little guns and...
Which, like, he should know isn't going to work. I mean, he saw the other DRD shoot the spiked dude, and they were barely getting through the armor. He used Big Bertha on the other one, and it barely got through. It's like...
Well, they were going center of mass, though.
Yeah.
Here the idea is to go for the neck.
Yeah,
go for the neckline,
fair, but still.
Because also they've got the canister in the chest.
No, I get that. But still, it seems like a very big gamble.
I mean, you would assume, perhaps naively, that around the neck, which requires more mobility, the armor would be less thick. But yes, it's... And so John tries to turn around. There's another Karishi there, and he goes...
Yeah, he gets clotheslined. Yeah, he gets clotheslined himself.
And now he sits up, and he talks to the guys. How does he know that Axicor is a Scarran?
Let's see. Scorpius
paying attention very
Scorpius knows because he hears him speaking Scarran.
Yes. Scorpius gets put in a canister with Dargo.
But Chana and
Aaron
are on the shelf. They overhear it? No, wait. Dargo has the communicator.
He has his mouth comms.
Yes. He has the communicator, so they tell him. And he actually Scorpius has to convince Dargo first that he is of goodwill before Dargo will allow him to talk to...
So smart.
Yes.
Such a good captain move. And even then, the first thing that Dargo says is, John, can we trust Scorpius?
More today than yesterday. Why?
Which is like
really good answer.
Yeah.
Okay, then here's the information that we've gleaned from this context. Brilliant.
Yes, very good.
So that's why he knows he's a Scarran. So he sits back up and goes, "Hey guys, did you know that you're working for a Scarran?"
And they're all like, "Huh? What?"
I love that they don't react. I love that they don't react like caveman idiots going, "Oh no, I don't believe you." Like they just continue doing what they're doing.
They're willing to entertain the thought. They go like, "Okay, this is interesting information. We might."
But
want
they
to
also
verify.
know that he's a prisoner and he will say whatever he needs to say. So
Of
both
course.
of those things
Yeah.
are going through their totally hot I don't know why I'm into these guys.
Okay, yeah, no.
I mean, looking.
You do what you do.
Right. I do. It's going to chafe so much, and I don't even know.
Yes, there's going to be that.
And he says, like, "Hey, Peacekeepers, Scarrans, it's all the same to me, but for you guys."
You might want to know where you're going to end up, if it's on a dreadnought or a command carrier.
Yeah, a dreadnought, which
is very misnomed here.
What? Why?
Well, he calls the dreadnought and goes like, "Oh, hey, come pick us up." And the dreadnought's like, "No, there's a command carrier nearby." So much for dreading naught.
Oh my god! You're a sort of literalist when it comes to things that are... I have bad news about buffalo wings, dude. I'll explain it to you when you're older. Listen. Okay, so one of them goes up to Axicor and says, "Open your armor." And I'm... Yeah.
You're sitting there going like, yes. Go on.
Let's see because maybe it's the armor that I'm into. I don't know. Do I want sort of shrimp sort of scenario? I don't know, but go on. Axicor goes, "No, I think not." And sets off like... It looked like the explosions that people put in
buildings,
derelict hospitals. Yes, right?
Yeah, like all the joints and everything. There's little explosions going off. The guys just sink down, and then there's like ooze drooling out of their orifices.
Now, if you did that too, and of course I don't want to like advocate harm to anybody, but like a person, I think they'd also be a lot gooier on the inside than we usually are.
Fair. Depends on what kind of charges we're talking about, you know? I mean, this was clearly meant to just take them out, and I presume kill them.
Oh, yeah. It was some kind of failsafe that he built into his crew's armor to kill him.
Yeah, so he could just like knock them out when he got found out, as he did. And like, I thought this was really cool, not just from just the way it looked, but also from a plot device.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, now suddenly it's one against the crew.
Now they outnumber him.
Without them having the assistance of the other bounty hunters.
Yep. Absolutely brilliant. And visually also spectacular, because you got this like these puffs of smoke, and it always comes from like between the joints in the armor.
Man, I hope you guys are still under warranty.
So now he does have a shrink device, and he has Chiana who explains to him how it works, and you know, he takes the arm or the gauntlet off and like sort of slops the
pumpkin insides out.
It reminded
me referring to them.
It reminded me the most of one time I saw an Italian person, and it's one of those rare cases where somebody joyously reaffirms stereotypes that you didn't know you really had, and at once sort of makes them glorious. It was at university, and there was an Italian student, and we were in the cafeteria, and he had this big old thermos and an empty cup and an empty plate.
I could see where this is
going. And I thought that he was going to fill his cup with coffee that he brought, and instead he just glorps a bunch of pasta carbonara onto his plate, and it was still steaming hot. He made it at home, and he brought it. It's brilliant.
I thought he was going to talk about how they talk with their hands, but this is funny.
Not anymore. Not if they got the Axicor treatment, I don't imagine.
I guess not, no.
Yikes, this is some horrible imagery.
But yeah, we get several more shots of Axicor, and like he looks way too human for a Scarran. You know,
yes.
He definitely looks less Scarranish than the Scarrans we've seen this far.
And Scorpius remarks on that, because he's never met one of the ruling order before.
Oh, okay, that was actually referring to actual Scarrans. I wasn't entirely sure whether or not he was still referring to pretending to be one of the bounty hunter aliens at that point.
Oh, I think he's definitely talking about Scarrans. Crichton mentioned it later on as well, that he's not as horse-headed as they usually are. Gort threatens to Scorpius, you know, when I take you back, I mean, you're a really, really nice bonus. You're going to see a lot more of me. Which I guess makes you wonder, why haven't we seen any of these guys before?
I don't know.
Because one of these guys is sent in as a spy, right? As an undercover spy. But they didn't send one of these guys in as the ambassador to the breakaway colonies.
I don't know. Maybe they don't do that sort of thing. Maybe it's like one of the super special agents. I don't know. John has managed to get the codes to release Chiana and Aaron.
Yeah, so now they're flopping around free, but not to re-embiggen them.
They are, however, freed from the tube, and indeed, as I wrote down, they're going to be riding into battle on a DRD.
Yeah. Here we have another one of those moments where John goes, okay, first priority is to get you back re-embiggened, and Aaron goes, no, we'll keep. First priority is to get everybody else. And he goes, oh, yeah, shit.
About that, yes. There's a little bit of shooting. We get a pretty cool fight between John and Axicor. Although he starts off with hitting him with a, I don't know, serving dish or a manhole cover or what it is.
It's a manhole cover. It's like a Ninja Turtles manhole cover.
And I thought he went down way too easily. Because, he's supposed to be a Scarran. He's supposed to be able to hit him in the side with a freight truck, and he's supposed to still be standing. He seemed to go down real easy for that first blow. But
yeah, I think it's their skin that's really tough, resistant to pulse blast.
Okay, maybe.
But just getting brained with a TMNT manhole cover.
And we get a really cool, I'm going to call it like a mage fight, where no, seriously, where two spellcasters are trying to out spellcast the other, shrink you, grow me, back and forth.
Yeah. And sort of exploiting each other's cooldown timers.
Yeah, I didn't even thought of that one, but yes, very much so.
This is exactly that sort of thing where Crichton, to dodge one of these blows, shrinks himself and go, oh, wait, oops, no, hold on, shrink you as well, until finally he's able to...
John wins, he gets big while Axicor is still small, and he just goes like,
One small step for man.
I wonder if there's other sex weirdos out there who had their awakenings at this moment and realized, oh, maybe
there's a reason a movie like the Attack of the 50 Feet Tall Women is popular, you know?
I guess so.
This is not an unusual thing.
Hey, and no judgment, we absolutely celebrate our fellow sex weirdos. So endeth Axicor.
Yes,
an ignominious death.
With a little cockroach mention at the...
So much Spanish in this episode.
Yes, well, I mean, he's been on a Spanish kick a lot recently.
This whole season. Maybe he's been doing a Pimsleur course while he was out on ELAC.
Yeah, maybe he was like, oh no, the owl didn't exist yet then.
Oh, that's the other one. Yes, that's Duolingo.
Yes.
And all's well that ends well. Everyone's free and re-embiggened.
But we kind of have to end on a downer because it is so Farscape. So.
Yep. There is a very, very valid question being discussed between John and Dargo. It's like, what to do with Scorpius?
Yes.
Because we don't have a cage that can hold him.
Apparently we don't, no. I mean, we should be able to make a better one, I guess. Although, if we know that one of the cells doesn't hold him, maybe we have to, build him a sex weirdo cage.
Okay. Now, I happen to know that you've just completed a course in welding. And so, you're talking about, I'm going to make my own furniture. And, I have no doubt that you will. But now this is just on your brain. It's we'll just, is it like in Battlestar Galactica when they have to build a new prison for a Cylon?
I suppose so, yeah.
There's a lot of welding involved in there.
Yes. But, I mean, this is like Moya.
The excitement on your face is
Moya, just grow ourselves a better room. I don't know if that works.
Yeah.
Can they just get a more secure door? No air ducts? I don't know.
That's the thing with prisoners are inside the cell a lot of the time.
Yes.
They have a lot of time to sort of contemplate and investigate. And
true.
How much time can you spend on sort of ingenuity proofing?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
But the real news comes from Pilot, who has been conferring with Moya again, and he goes like, well, we definitely don't want to go to Scarran space or Peacekeeper space, and it turns out that the uncharted territories are getting a bit dicey as well, so we might have to go to tormented space.
Eagle-eared listeners will have noticed that earlier in this season, I think I joined you in a little run on imagining the uncharted territories and the whatever other kind of thing.
Yes.
Did you remember that I name dropped?
No, I did not. No.
Okay, good. So I'm still doing it right. Because and apparently it's also a nexus, which is why
yes, lots of wormholes there.
Which is why I think Pilot talked to John first, and then conferring with Aaron before asking Captain Dargo. Which is an interesting sort of maneuver.
Yes. I mean, it makes sense to talk to the wormhole specialist first.
Yeah, right? But also, he knows John loves wormholes, so that's an easy get.
And even John asks, is Moya all right with this?
Moya's understandably trepidatious.
Yeah.
Does, confer to them some safety that they haven't enjoyed in a while. This sort of reminded me of... Oh, I think that came later, actually. Yeah, Star Trek Enterprise Season 3, when they have to go to the Delphic Expanse, where things are also different, and you don't hear from people who go there very often, and they come out weird. So, yeah, what are we expecting there?
Well, we don't know. I mean, tormented space. Nobody who goes there, or at least very few people who go there ever return. So it might just be a really nice place, and they go screw that.
Right? Okay. It might just be great, and everybody goes, whoa.
This is peaceful and friendly, and there's food everywhere, and we don't get this being Farscape.
Well, it's like when a new sort of holiday destination becomes discovered that nobody hears about. Oh, yes, Blebnarnia. It's the southeast western European country that only really clever travelers know about, and it's really absolutely delightful.
Zuidwest Noord-Brabant.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I guess we go to...
She gives me a Woody.
She gives you a Willy. You're so good with these buttons.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm finally allowed to be pressing them.
It's nice, right?
Yes. So let's see. What do we have? So I love the light up rank insignia on the guys. It
cool.
looks really good, and I really love intelligent opponents. Like who don't do stupid, who don't fall for stupid shit, who are stronger than they seem.
Yes, they're strong where they whatever. I was going to try and do it like the Art of War, but I haven't read the Art of War. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot to choose from. So, where does your Woody go?
Well, I think I'm going to name two, and I'm not going to tell you which one is the Willy and which one is the Woody.
An unconventional move. Ooh, I'm honestly excited.
Or I may be lying. They might be both.
That's okay.
They might be both Willies or both Woodies. I'm not telling you. I'm just not telling you. So the two moments that really stood out was when he blows up his henchman. When he just goes like beep beep beep, and they're dead.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And the other one is
studying your face.
The other one is John squishing him underfoot at the end fight.
Okay. Now this is really one of those friendship tests to see how well we know one another. I'm thinking the sort of detonation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a Woody for you. Mm-hmm. I think you thought that was cool, and I thought the squishing got your Willy. That's what I think.
Or maybe they both.
No, hold on. You've got to give me an answer, or do you give it to me? Do you have it written down, or are you just making it up?
No, I'm just making it up.
I thought you were finally coming in. Like, I make all these games for you.
Oh, sorry. No,
it's okay. It's okay. We're a bit behind on scoring your points anyway. Next time. Really? There's people out there who are making databases of what our Willies and Woodies are.
Oh, really?
Are you not going to...
Oh, okay.
I mean, let's be fair. One of them may be me with my penchant for my handy-down
well,
database.
there's that.
But come on. Will you not commit?
Oh, well, I mean, I'd say they're both Willies.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, that is sort of justified.
I mean, yeah, then in that case, the Woody would go to the armor and the lighting up insignias and like just the way they looked with the glowy eyes and everything. That like they were fantastic aliens.
Right?
Yeah, they looked amazing.
Yeah, we're once again touching Woodies because that's also mine. The Koreshi design, like aside from my sex weirdo thing, which I still have many years to figure out exactly what's going on there, they just look so cool and they're completely immobile. It's just flashing lights to signify what they're listening to.
There's no facial expressions. There's a little bit of head tilt here and there, but that's about it. I mean, they've got even less to work with than Dargo does. And
I kind of like that. Like the actors get to perform because it's their voices that are making the eyes blink.
Oh, okay. It's just a direct little speech coder or something.
Yeah, which is really good. I think actually my Willy goes to they and we completely forgetting about Noranti.
Crichton?
Yeah, right.
There's a wrinkled old woman floating outside the forward portal.
Whoa, gigantic oops. Can you do me a favor? Pop outside the Tier 3 trouble inside Hedge and haul Granny in.
I think that might just be a plot point, you know. Everybody always forgets about Noranti. And I have it like written down like Granny to the rescue, so I might, with a question mark behind it, figuring like, okay, this might go that everybody gets like caught and trapped, which it kind of does, and then suddenly Granny pulls up something tricky,
as a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Which I think is brilliant that it doesn't happen.
No, absolutely. It's really hilarious because it's completely in character. Everybody's always forgetting about her. Yeah. It's like nobody. It's like, oh yeah, she's still around. It's like, how did that happen? So
the Koreshi on the command don't even see her. Like they happen to be facing away from the viewport while she's floating there. Did I have a Willy? Whatever.
All right.
And
that's the story so Farscape. Yes, please join us next week for another Tales of the Uncharted Territory, and after that for episode 409, A Perfect Murder.
In which...
Yes, I got it here.
Yes.
In which, on a planet of divided clans, Erin brings them to the brink of war when she opens fire on a crowd of innocents. But there's much more to this massacre than meets the eye. Erin's back to her old ways.
Yeah.
That sounds intriguing.
Now, I've broken a promise. I promised to print out my sort of end spiel. But I'm going to try it anyway.
All right.
I'm going to really sort of center myself. You can find us at Farscape on Facebook and Twitter, or on sofarscape.com. Sofarscape.com/links takes you to all of our various links. Sofarscape.com/submit for your synopses. Sofarscape.com/support for Patreon. Very close. And sofarscape.com/the other one for the third thing that there is.
Please remain seated until the vehicle has come to a full stop.
And now we're going to give you a little sort of crinkle-tinkle haircut for those of you who are sensitive to ASMR. In the meantime, I'm Cocky.
I'm Kay.
So Farscape, so good.